Muhammad Ali was more than just a boxing legend. He was a fearless fighter inside and outside the ring. His impact went beyond sports, making him a global icon recognized for his talent and unshakable principles. Today, we'll take you through Ali's incredible journey, his victories, his struggles, and the lasting legacy that continues to inspire millions born at Cassius Clay on January 17, 1942, from Louisville, Kentucky. Ali came from humble beginnings, but rose to become one of the most famous figures in history. His story isn't just about boxing. It's about standing for what's right, facing challenges head-on, and proving that true greatness is measured by resilience and character. I understand that. We'll cover every stage of Ali's career. We'll start with his early days, from winning a gold medal at the 1960 Olympics to becoming a household name. We'll revisit his legendary bouts against Sonny Liston, Joe Frazier, and George Foreman. Fights that shaped the boxing world and secured his place in history. Ali's journey wasn't without hardship. We'll look at the obstacles he faced, from being banned from boxing at the height of his career to his later battle with Parkinson's disease. Despite these struggles, he remained a simple, using his voice to champion civil rights, religious freedom, and justice. Before we dive in, let's highlight some key stats that showcase Ali's extraordinary career. Throughout his professional career, Muhammad Ali fought 61 matches. Out of those, he won 56, an impressive 37 by knockout. He only lost 5 times, but even in defeat, he displayed the heart of a true champion. What makes these stats even more incredible is the level of competition he faced. Ali didn't just win. He conquered the toughest boxers in history. From his stunning victory with Sonny Liston to the unforgettable Rumble in the Jungle against George Foreman, Ali showed time and time again that he was more than a boxer. He was a warrior in every sense, but Ali's legacy extends beyond his record. He was a man whose words were as powerful as his punches. Whether he was opposed to the Vietnam War, fighting for racial equality, or inspiring millions to believe in themselves, Ali proved that true greatness isn't just about physical strength. It's about courage, conviction, and character. As we begin to deep dive into the life of Ali, remember, his story isn't just about spirits. It's about the power of human determination to inspire and leave a lasting impact on the world. This is the story of the greatest, Muhammad Ali. To fully appreciate Muhammad Ali, we need to go back to the beginning, before he was the greatest, before the world knew his name, and before he became a champion. This is the story of a young boy from Louisville, Kentucky, who would go on to change history. Muhammad Ali was born Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. on January 17, 1942, during a time of deep racial segregation. Growing up in the South on Jim Crow laws, he faced segregation early on. But even as a child, he had an unstoppable confidence that would shape his future. Ali's boxing journey began by chance. At 12 years old, his new bicycle was stolen. Angry and upset, young Cassius reported it to a police officer named Joe Martin, who also happened to be a boxer. Ali told him he wanted to whoop the thief, and Martin responded, "Well, you better learn how to fight first." That moment changed everything. Ali started training at Martin, and his talent became clear right away. He was quick, strategic, and had an unshakable self-belief, qualities that would define his career at age 18. Ali dominated the amateur boxing circuit, winning 6 Kentucky Golden Gloves titles, 2 National Golden Gloves championships, and an AAU national title. But his biggest achievement came in 1960, when he represented the U.S. at the Rome Olympics, competing in the light heavyweight division. Ali showcased his speed, footwork, and unique style. He had won the gold medal after defeating his big man Peter Zakowski at Poland. It was a proud moment, but it was bittersweet. When he returned home, he still faced the same racial discrimination. According to legend, Ali was so frustrated by segregation that he threw his gold medal into the Ohio River. Though debated, this story reflects the struggles he endured. But instead of letting them hold him back, Ali used them as motivation. Later that year, Ali turned professional at just 18. He signed with a group of sponsors and had his first pro match on October 29, 1960, against Tony Huntsman. Ali won by unanimous decision, proving he was something special. Over the next 3 years, he fought 19 matches and won them all. His style was unlike any heavyweight performer. Fast, fluid, and unpredictable. He famously described it as float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. But Ali wasn't just a fighter. He was a showman. He would taunt his opponents, predict knockout, and deliver poetic trash talk. His confidence was unmatched, and it rattled even the best fighters yet. Beneath the bold persona, Ali was a thinker. He was drawn to the Nation of Islam and leaders like Malcolm X. In 1964, after winning the World Heavyweight Championship, he changed his name to Muhammad Ali, rejecting what he called his slave name and embracing his pagan identity. This move was highly controversial. Many refused to acknowledge his new name, but Ali stood firm. It was the first major sign that he was not just a boxer, but a man willing to stand by his beliefs. Looking back at Ali's early life, it's clear that his path to greatness was built long before he became famous. His journey from a boy in Louisville to an Olympic gold medalist and rising boxing star is a testament to his determination and self-belief. And this was only the beginning. In the next part, we'll explore the fights that made Muhammad Ali a legend, his iconic victory over Sonny Liston, and his unforgettable rivalries with Joe Frazier and George Foreman that is told. Stay with us as we continue this journey through the life of the boxer Muhammad Ali. By 1967, Muhammad Ali was at the height of his boxing career. He was the undisputed heavyweight champion, global icon, and a symbol of strength and determination. But that same year, Ali made a choice that would change his life forever. A choice that had nothing to do with boxing and everything to do with belief. When the U.S. government drafted him for the Vietnam War, Ali refused to go. His stance was firm and clear. He famously stated, "I ain't got no good given Viet Cong." He saw the war as unjust and could, in good conscience, take part in it. As a devoted member of the Nation of Islam and a conscientious objector, Ali stood by his religious and moral principles. The response was swift and severe. He was stripped of his boxing titles, and his license to fight was revoked. Effectively, he was banned from the sport during what should have been his prime years. But the punishment didn't end there. Ali was convicted of draft evasion, sentenced to 5 years in prison, and fined $10,000. Though he avoided jail while appealing the verdict, the legal fight and public scrutiny weighed heavily on him. The backlash was relentless. He was criticized by the media, labeled unpatriotic, and even called a traitor. Many fans abandoned him, and even some of his close allies distanced themselves. But Ali never wavered. He knew the consequences of his decision, yet he stood by, believing it was the right thing to do financially. His exile was devastating. Without the ability to leave, Ali lost millions in potential earnings, but the emotional toll is just as deep. Boxing wasn't just his profession, it was his identity. Being forced out of the ring felt like losing a part of himself still. Ali refused to be silenced. He used his platform to speak out about civil rights, racial equality, and social justice. He traveled across the U.S., delivering speeches at universities and public events, becoming a powerful voice for change. His courage inspired millions, and his message stretched far beyond the boxing world. One of the most unforgettable moments from this time came during a press conference where Ali powerfully explained his position. He asked, Why should they ask me to put on a uniform and go 10,000 miles from home and drop bombs and build on brown people in Vietnam, while so-called Negro people in Louisville are treated like dogs and denied simple human rights? His words struck a deep chord, and they still resonate today after 3.5 years. Ali's exile. In 1971, the U.S. Supreme Court overturned his conviction, ruling in his favor. His boxing license was reinstated. He was set for a comeback, but after years away, people wondered, could he still be the fighter he once was? In the next section of our video, we'll explore Ali's incredible return to the ring. From his legendary battle with George Foreman to his historic wins in the Rumble in the Jungle and the Thriller in Manila, Ali proved he was still the greatest, but his years in exile were a defining period of his life. They showed the era that true greatness isn't just about winning fights. It's about standing firm for those who believe in. No matter the cost, stay with us as we continue to uncover the life and career of Muhammad Ali, a man who fought not just in the ring, but with justice, quality, and the strength of the human spirit. By 1967, Muhammad Ali was at the height of his boxing career. He was the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, a global icon, and a symbol of strength and resilience. But that same year, Ali made a decision that would change his life forever. A decision that had nothing to do with boxing and everything to do with his principles. When the United States government drafted Ali to serve in the Vietnam War, he refused. His reasons were clear and unwavering. Ali famously said, "I ain't got no quarrel with the Viet Cong for him. The war was unjust and he could not, in good conscience, participate." As a member of the Nation of Islam and a conscientious objector, Ali cited his religious and moral beliefs as the basis for his refusal. This decision was met with immediate backlash. Ali was stripped of his boxing titles, and his license to fight was suspended. He was effectively banned from boxing during what should have been the prime of his career. But the consequences didn't stop. Ali was also convicted of draft evasion, sentenced to 5 years in prison, and fined $10,000. Although he remained free on appeal, the legal battle of public scrutiny took a heavy toll. The backlash against Ali was intense. He was vilified in the media, called unpatriotic, and even labeled a traitor. Many of his fans turned against him, and some of his closest allies distanced themselves. But Ali stood firm. He knew that his stance would come at a great cost, but he believed it was the right thing to do. Financially, the exile was devastating to his legacy. Ali had achieved more than any boxer before, and his impact on sport and world was immeasurable, as we'll see in the next section of our video. Ali's life after boxing was just as remarkable as his career in the ring. From his activism and philanthropy to his battle with Parkinson's disease, Ali continued to inspire and uplift people around the world. So, stay with us as we continue to explore the life and legacy of Muhammad Ali, a man who fought not just but for justice, equality, and power of the human spirit. Muhammad Ali's influence reaches far beyond boxing. He was a trailblazer, an activist, and a symbol of resilience. His legacy is not just about championships, but about fighting for justice, equality, and human dignity. That I am the boxing world. Ali changed the game. His speed, footwork, and charisma redefined heavyweight boxing, proving that power wasn't the only path remarkable in sports and history. From a boy in Louisville, Kentucky, to an Olympic champion and 3-time heavyweight king, his life embodied courage, resilience, and unwavering principles. That Ali's career was filled with triumph and hardships. He won Olympic gold in 1960 and became the youngest heavyweight champion in 1964 by defeating Sonny Liston. But his journey wasn't smooth. His stance against the Vietnam War led to his exile from boxing. stripping him of his titles. However, he returned stronger, reclaiming his crown in unforgettable fights like the Rumble, Jungle, and the Thriller in Manila. Despite his declining physical abilities in later years, Ali's spirit remained unshaken. He became the first three-time heavyweight champion, defying age and doubts. Even in his final fights, his heart and determination never wavered, but Ali's impact transcended the ring. He fought for civil rights, racial equality, and religious freedom, using his voice to inspire millions. His words, "I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Song and float like a butterfly, sting like a bee," continue to symbolize his courage and conviction that Ali's life teaches us that true greatness isn't just about winning. It's about standing up for what's right, making a difference, and never giving up, no matter how tough the fight. AS will reflect on his legacy. Let's remember him not just as a boxing legend, but as a champion for humanity. He fought for justice, equality, and the power of the human spirit. He became an Olympic gold medalist in 1960 and, for years later, the youngest heavyweight champion in history by defeating Sonny Liston. But his path was far from easy. His decision to refuse military service cost him his titles and prime years in boxing. Yet, he returned to reclaim his glory in legendary battles, including the Rumble in the Jungle and Thriller in Manila, even as his physical strength declined. Ali's spirit remained unbreakable. He was the first three-time heavyweight champion, proving his relentless drive. His final fights weren't always victories, but they showcased his heart and determination beyond boxing. Ali's greatest fight was for justice. He stood against racial inequality, religious persecution, and war. His famous words, "I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Song and float like a butterfly, sting like a bee," continue to resonate as powerful messages of courage and conviction that Ali's life is a lesson in perseverance. True greatness isn't about never falling. It's about standing up for what you believe in, no matter the cost. His influence will inspire generations